Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 181 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network, talking all things football. Josh Ray joined alongside Nathan Dirk as per usual. Cloudy day here in Vancouver, but it's warm. It's May. It's spring. And the Vancouver Whitecaps, they just keep on winning.
Yeah, they're not stopping yet, right? A 2-1 win over Real Salt Lake, which now gives them 10 games undefeated in all competitions. I believe that's a record for the Whitecaps, or it's at least tied for a record.
I believe that is the record.
It is the record, yeah.
Yeah, just a few days after winning in Miami, 6-hour flight back home, hardly any training, a more or less rotated squad still managed to get the win.
Yeah, we started to see a few players that have been coming back from injury have featured a few minutes, actually starting to get starts. A few players that don't normally get starts getting in there, but we saw Jaden Nelson really be one of these guys, get a start after being away for a little bit and really make an impact in that first half.
Yeah, he was all over the place in that first half and didn't miss a beat with his speed, making life difficult for Justin Glad, who, by the way, was also coming back from an injury.
Yep.
And he scored a pretty big goal himself, one of the best goals in MLS all season. Incredible run in the 20th minute, just through the defenders and beats the RSL goalkeeper, Cabral.
He was doing that so many times throughout this match. I mean, the number of switches of play between him and Ocampo in that first half, I mean, you almost need two hands to count it, which was just beautiful how the Whitecaps are able to just so quickly get out of their own end and transition forward. This goal wasn't that. I believe it was a through ball that came from, I want to say...
Priso.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're right. It was Priso. Who himself had quietly a decent match.
Yeah, but one of his better matches all season, but who has quietly had a pretty decent season, by the way. A lot better compared to last season.
A lot better. And you know what? It's kind of like it's that you come to a brand new team midway through a season. You're still trying to gel, find your way. I don't know. Maybe we were too harsh on him. Maybe it's because of what we were hearing from Colorado people saying, great athlete, wrong sport, right? But I feel like he's found a role in this squad. He's a depth guy that deserves starts in certain matches. And, I mean, he's still fairly young, too. So this is a guy that can still grow and go from strength to strength.
Yeah, and, Priso needs the help of Andres Gubis, who was the captain against RSL, and Pedro Vite. Another great game from Pedro Vite, making some excellent passes. This is that really long one that's gone viral on MLS Twitter.
Yeah.
In the second half, just a beautiful ball. Pass of the week, pass of the year. Fortunately, it didn't result in a goal, but one of the best passes you'll ever see in MLS this season. And yeah, that first half was pretty much more or less one-way traffic for the Whitecaps. Doing their thing, controlling the game with their possession. And yeah, Jaden Nelson and Eddie Ocampo all over the place, making life difficult down the sides.
Yeah. Second half, and I mean, I guess throughout the entire match, we should also talk about the back line and Tristan Blackman, a guy that we have been talking about a lot more this season than we have in any other previous one.
Yeah, I mean, the second goal, which was a striker's goal. I mean, who knew he pulled that off?
He pulled back to give himself space from his defender so that when he got the ball, he had a good 5-6 feet in front. He had more than enough time to take that shot. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and good pass from Sebastian Berhalter, who came off the bench. Another goal contribution for him, by the way. That's 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 8 matches or whatever.
Actually, I think that's just in his last 3 matches.
Last 3, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the guy's on fire.
Yeah, he is. We should talk about Danny Reyes. I thought, and here's the thing, I thought he had a decent first half. I thought his ability, I mean, he didn't touch the ball a lot, but it's his off-the-ball work where he's pulling defenders towards him, which gave space to Nelson.
Yeah,
it allowed Nelson to do what he was doing in the first half. Second half, though, he disappeared, and that penalty, I I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with the technique, but he's not putting it into the corners, and it just feels like his confidence is not there in front of the net.
I don't know if it's just you, but just me, but when he stepped up, I had a strong feeling he wouldn't convert.
I had the worry. I felt my worry was misplaced because I'm thinking, oh, he's only done one. Surely it can't happen again. Sometimes you hate being proven right.
Yeah, and good save from Mike Cabral, though. We'll give him that, but
It was.
I mean, Rios, people don't notice, the little things, like you said, him creating that space for Nelson. People don't notice that. He's a striker.
Yeah.
People notice goals, chances. And
it's true. It's absolutely true. It's what you will be judged on if you're a striker.
He wasn't, there was service, but it felt like he wasn't fighting for the ball enough.
No. So my question is if Gaulden's out, he's your number one penalty taker. It's the way it's been since he's been here. If it can't be Rios, right? I'm not saying we're writing him out yet, but if it can't be, who steps up?
If Brian White's healthy, I'd use him, but he's never taken a penalty in his career.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is he might just write himself out of the equation because he doesn't do penalties. Or so I was trying to think of someone else that wasn't Brian White, and I went with Sebastian Berhalter.
Or why not? Like a penalty taking number 8.
He is a guy that when he hits the ball, you look at all of his goals, he is drilling it through the back of the net. It is, there's no BS on it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I like that, right? He doesn't need this stutter step to dance, do a pirouette on the way towards the penalty dot. He just puts his laces through it and hits it.
Yeah, or Petrovita also.
Petrovita would be another one too. I don't know. Yeah, I went with Berhalter. I don't know. I find.
Yeah, I'd probably go with
Berhalter. Just smashes it. I like that.
Yeah, and it's fair to say Rio shouldn't take penalties again for the Whitecaps.
Not for a little bit. Find other ways to get his confidence back.
Yeah, Jesper Sorensen defended Daniel Rios in the press conference after the game. He's doing pretty well, and he's a different player from Brian White, and he basically said he's going to need some more time and all that.
Yeah. It's gotta suck when you are the second striker on a team that uses one number 9.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're coming in spurts, and you have to be able to perform without having that match game fitness behind you where you understand the flow of a competitive match. Say you've been out for 2 or 3 matches, right? You lose that consistency. So you have to be able to pick it up right away. Daniel Rios is an experienced player. He's 30 years old. You 30, hope 31. That he would be able to do this. He has performed in other MLS teams. I think last year he had 10 goals, right?
In all comps. And he did get a lot of flack in Atlanta because Giakoumakis left and he was pretty much the main guy.
Well, I'm sorry, but if you have to come in and replace Giakoumakis, those are huge shoes to fill.
Yeah, and I understand the flack he's getting now from Whitecaps fans, but it just Sorensen said he came into camp and everything in bad shape, and he's still trying to get.
I'm trying to see the other side. I'm trying to see the player side and recognize it's not the easiest of situations. But yeah, as a fan and as someone who watches the team and reports on the team, your expectation is higher. And I think it's also because our expectations of other players have been elevated and they're hitting it.
Yeah, and the Whitecaps are like number 1 in touches in the opposition box and in the upper echelon of crosses. So there's no reason why he shouldn't be feasting.
They're always the service on crosses. It always seems, right?
Yeah,
I guess it wasn't just Ryan Raposo.
Yeah, we just need to see that hunger of a target man because Rios is more of that than White.
So here's something. I was watching MLS wrap up at the end of the week, and they were talking about early awards, right? Because we're a third of the way through the season now. So early awards. Now there of 2 awards, they're talking about Whitecaps players. And then one award they felt like they should be talking about a Whitecaps player, but they said it's actually a very difficult one to do. So let's talk about the two that seem to be right now very good chances: Coach of the Year and Defender of the Year.
Coach of the Year, Jesper Sorensen is the front runner.
Yeah,
by a mile, I think.
How can he not be?
Yeah, just
right.
And for Defender of the Year, Tristan Blackman, who we mentioned.
Tristan Blackman has done very well. I have a soft spot for Renko Veselinovic. I think he's a very good defender. I think he's increased year to year. I think it's the pairing of the two that really makes them both better. But if you have to pick one,
Blackman
has stood out.
Yeah, he's taken his game to another level, and he played without Renko against RSL and had a.
Really I also think
so.
I've had him as my player of the match. I think
he was the man of the match also. So.
Last one, yeah. But I think I've had him on other occasions this season already. So yeah.
I mean, the guy's with his clearances, his passes, and goals too.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, Sorensen joked at the end of the game, maybe we should play him up front.
He was moving like a number 9.
Yeah, and you see him make all these runs higher up the pitch nowadays.
So here's the one that's more difficult. MVP, MLS MVP, because you think of the Whitecaps, they're number 1 in the Supporters Shield standings right now. They have been pretty much since match day 2, match day 3. But it is very difficult to pick one guy. Normally, you'd be Ryan Gauld.
If he was healthy, Ryan Gauld would by far.
If not Ryan Gauld, you think of Brian White.
Brian
White's up there in the golden boot race, but he's only scored in 3 games.
Yeah, and because he scored 4 in that one game against Austin.
Exactly. So now you're looking at all the other pieces, and they say that's the one thing is this is so much a team collective. It can be difficult to pick out one guy. One name was mentioned, and I think out of the 2 players that I can think of, he's definitely one of them I would consider, and it's Pedro Vite.
Yeah, Sasha Kletchen mentioned Pedro Vite. I mean, what more can we say about this guy? He's become
we were waiting for.
Yeah, the player that they were hoping they would get when they bought him back in 2021.
And I just hope we get to keep him for longer than this.
Well, rumors have been quiet for now, but Vite
has been quiet, but I want to see a contract done by I don't know, in
summer.
2 months.
Yeah, and
the other player I would put up there is Sebastian Berhalter.
Yeah, 2 midfielders.
Right? We talked about this being the best midfield trio in MLS when you throw in Kubas into the mix. I mean, Kubas is another name.
Also, right? Defensive midfielders, they don't really get their flowers.
No, they don't, unfortunately, right? But what I got to say, the one thing I actually enjoyed is that it is so difficult to pick out one player. Right?
Yeah, it goes to show that
it is this difficult. They're doing this well. Shows you just what they're able to do as a collective. Your article that you just published, what was it, yesterday, kind of alluded to that, and the fact that we've got 13 different goal scorers on this team.
Yeah, and the fact that, MLS pundits are talking about Whitecaps players, being nominated for MVP, and it's hard to pick just one guy, goes to show that this is a collective team that is doing great things, and it's just a good headache to have. Who's the best player of the Whitecaps this season? It's kind of hard to pick a player of the year right now for them.
It's a good way of putting it. It is a good headache to have. Speaking of headache, I think Jade Nelson said something similar at the end of the match when we were talking with him, that when you're getting he was talking about the attacking depth of this team. He talked about him, especially on the wings. And he talked about himself and Ali and Emmanuel Sabi and Pedro Vite when he plays up there, Ryan Gauld. And they were saying, once Ryan Gauld comes back, he's this. It's a headache for Jesper Sorensen on who to pick. And he's I think it's a good one, right?
Right.
He talked about the healthy competition in those spots. I think. I don't know. It's kind of funny that they talk about it as a headache. I think it's a coach's dream when you have that wealth of riches to choose from.
It's a wet dream for a coach. If you have such good attackers and
Oh
A
no,
lot
I
of them
have
are on
too
your
many
bench.
players.
Like, oh no, how am I gonna keep them all happy?
Yeah,
Like in Football
exactly.
Manager or FIFA.
Yeah, well, in
And
Football Manager, you just treat him like a 2-year-old.
yeah, and fortunately, the Whitecaps could not keep the clean sheet. We
Yeah,
did not see this in the stadium, but after watching it back later that night, Sebastian Berhalter pretty much stepped on Justin Glad, clear penalty,
yep.
and Diego Luna, Mr. Cassian Andor scores against the Oitak Oka, and that sucks. Clean sheets.
This was a weird one for penalties. You had 3 different
Yeah, this is
shouts, and all 3 of them were different, right? One went to the monitor
yep.
and was over, and then the referee changed his decision.
Yeah, that was
One,
clear, never a penalty.
yeah, one went to the monitor and was scored. One was given and missed.
Yeah, we got all scenarios
Right?
in one half.
It was a kind of a strange game. It's a game where VAR showed its importance. I think VAR helped in this game, but it was a strange one.
Yeah, I think the VAR got pretty much all of it right. Although the one for the Whitecaps, I don't know, 50-50, but Rios ended up missing.
Well, here's the thing. Did Ocampo get a foot on the ball?
That's the thing. I need to watch it again.
I don't know. I watched it a number of times. I think my eyes started to see it. I don't know if they were seeing it,
probably did.
Just imagining it, but I thought I saw a touch. Whatever the case, Cabral was late.
Yeah.
It was late. He wasn't anywhere.
Yeah. Now I think about it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is you can't take out the man, right? This isn't hockey. And even in hockey, you can't do it unless he's
right. Yeah, he's not. You can't be Dominic Hasek.
Yeah,
with his flying poke checks,
or Ron Hextall with his stick.
Yeah, just overall another solid win for the Whitecaps at BC Place. Unfortunately, we got 19,000, which we thought like 20,000.
It was only a couple hundred shy of the 20,000 mark. It's got to get back up there, right?
Especially if the team keeps on winning and playing like this. Yeah. I mean, this is a very exciting team.
With the communication staff, and again, it's that weird scenario in Vancouver where you're competing against good weather, right?
Yep.
It was a great day on the weekend, and sometimes, especially, we're just starting to get into the season. People want to be outside, and the Whitecap Stadium, even though you can open up the roof, it's not
inside.
a metro stadium, right? So.
Yeah, and in Vancouver, you can go skiing on the mountains and go swimming in the ocean on the same day.
Same day.
And that's the beauty of living in this city. And yeah, just a solid win. They did the job done with a rotated squad, but many players stepped up. And next week, it's an early game on Sunday. A familiar playoff foe, LAFC, comes to town.
Yeah, we've seen them a number of times over the years. LAFC, they're sitting, I believe, fourth in the West.
5-2-4.
Fifth in the West?
Yeah, 5-2-4. They beat Houston on the weekend.
Yeah, but kind of an interesting record. Like, if you take a look over their past 5, they've only won 2. Drew 2, lost 1.
It's not the same LAFC we've seen in years past.
We're saying that about a lot of teams in the Western Conference, aren't we?
Yeah, look at Galaxy, more on them later.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2-0 win. LAFC won at BMO Stadium. Ordaz and Ibobisi, who by the way has been a Whitecaps killer.
Yep.
Scored 2 goals. And
I would say the one difference I'm seeing with LAFC this year is they are defensively leaky. They've actually allowed double the number of goals that the Whitecaps have.
Yeah. I mean, they can still score, though.
They can, but that's just it. It's like basically the whole thing is score more than they score against us, and that doesn't always work.
Yeah, not always. And obviously, LAFC have, I believe, a Drew, who finally scored his first goal in MLS a few weeks ago in Portland. A free kick. And, of course, former MVP, notorious Caps killer himself, Danny Bouanga.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also familiar faces on that LAFC side. Thomas
Ryan
Sal
Raposo.
and Ryan Raposo, who recently signed there. I don't think he's played a game yet, though.
No, he's got to get up to match fitness. It's going to be a bit for him.
Yeah, and another tough test against LAFC. I mean, the Whitecaps know this opponent. Many of the players do, rather. Yeah, just LAFC 17 goals for, 16 against.
Yeah.
That's pretty much goes to show that good offensive team, but the back leaky.
Yeah.
Just
That'll be the Mother's Day match coming up this Sunday.
Yeah, and it's I know they've lost some guys in the off season, but they're like core guys are still more or less still there. Obviously they lost Ilie, their veteran, but still got guys like Hollingshead, Tillman, and Palencia, and Aaron Long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just also taking a look at LAFC here. Yeah, they've had a couple of draws also.
Yeah.
Portland, St. Louis. They did lose to Houston in Houston, and knocked out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup by Inter Miami.
That big kind of last minute push by Inter Miami because they actually had to come from behind.
Yeah, and so gonna be. I think this might be the toughest test for the Whitecaps this season. LAFC are still a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get this wrong, and they're gonna obviously bring in some more guys in the summer to get back up to where they believe they should be. But it'd be interesting to see how the Whitecaps respond after they have a week off, which is rare to say. Like, we don't have a Wednesday game to talk about.
No, which is nice. And we're not going to have any Wednesday matches until the final week of this month. We can talk about that a little bit because they have removed the match that was supposed to be against Portland on May 31st at BC Place because of the CONCACAF final, which is going to be the day after. That Portland match has now been moved to September 24th.
That will be a Wednesday game at 7:30 p.m. So the CONCACAF Champions Cup final will be in Mexico City at the Estadio Universitario Olímpico, which is the same stadium they beat Pumas in.
Yeah.
Because, stadium renovations and all that. Cruz Azul, Pumas, they're sharing stadiums. If not for a penalty by a Canadian player, I forgot his name, and Drew Fisher calling it. Clearly a penalty, by the way. Clearly a handball.
It was VAR that actually referred that one to Drew Fisher as well, I think.
Yeah, the guy was clearly playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And Tigres goalkeeper Guzman nearly had it, but not enough.
I mean, you can point to different moments. You can point to that. You could point to Sergio Ramos crying to the referee at the end of the Monterrey game, right?
If not for that, oh my!
In a tournament, there's a ton of shoulda, woulda, couldas, right?
Yeah. If not for that bogus Ramos penalty, Whitecaps would have been hosting the final at BC Place. So they're getting CONCACAF in the later rounds. Oh well, it's off to Mexico.
It happens. It happens. It's not like we didn't know what CONCACAF had to offer, right?
Yeah, so that'll be at 6 p.m. Pacific on June 1st. But LAFC this weekend, and the Whitecaps, when they've had had a week off. They drew in Toronto, they drew in St. Louis, they lost to Chicago at home. Interesting to see how they respond to this. It's like an extra day off since it's a Sunday game.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing is they do have that midweek game, right? They have the midweek game
against Minnesota.
So they do have to deal with that. I was asking, we were asking the Whitecaps if they were looking at possibly moving both games, and they said, we seem to do well when we play every 3 days, so maybe we don't want to.
Yeah, and they're saying that it's kind of hard to find a window.
It is. I mean, you're moving one game already. It's going to be difficult. So,
yeah. So, I guess the Whitecaps have said they like playing every 3 days. So, why not? And they've proved time and time again they can handle the fixture congestion, especially with the team's depth. So why not? So again, uh, task at hand at first. LAFC come to town on Sunday, 4 p.m. kickoff, nice and early. It'll be a
Yeah,
Mother's Day game.
absolutely.
So the other Vancouver football team, the Vancouver Rise, you were at Swangard. I'm surprised you managed to fit in the press box there. One
Yeah,
nothing
it
win
is. It
over
is tiny.
a 1-0 win over the Halifax Tides. A pretty much possession dominance by Vancouver Rise, but opportunities were still lacking. But Spencer with the 53rd minute banger the in the second phase of the corner pretty much sealed the deal.
Beautiful take of the goal. Yeah, this is a team. We were talking with Jasmine Spencer at the end of the game. They said they want set pieces to be a part of their identity, something that they're known for. They had 11 corners in this match as compared to Tides, who had 2. Again,
Tides didn't even register a shot on target.
they registered one
Oh,
shot
just
target, and it was from well outside the 18-yard
Yeah,
box.
figured.
Spencer's goal, absolutely beautiful take. Just a Sebastian Berhalter take, if you're looking for a comparison between Vancouver teams. Yep. Absolutely great. First goal for the Rise from open play. Yes, it was still a set piece, so it's not open, but it wasn't a penalty.
Phase. It wasn't a penalty.
So we'll put
and it wasn't directly from the corner.
Yeah.
So that's an open play.
And that the one thing we got to talk about their dominance in possession. I remember when we were talking with Calgary's head coach, Lydia Bedford, I believe it is.
Yeah, Bedford.
And she talked about the knowledge of the Rise's midfield and how the Rise seemed to have like one of the strongest midfields in the league. And again, we saw it on display. Nikki Stanton was all over the place, right? Stanton in particular was the individual that I noticed. She did come off later on. I think she picked up a bit of a knock. It was more precautionary. But their problem right now is transforming possession into the attacking phase.
Yeah,
that's what I noticed. A lot of time trying to figure out how to bring passes into the box, and they're not there yet on figuring out that kind of lethal touch, right? Both sides. I mean, the Rise only had 2 shots on target.
Yeah, one of them was a goal.
One of them was a goal. There is still, and we were talking with Anya Heinemuller after the game, and she said, "Yeah, we're not there yet, right? We're still building towards this. Where we have work to do in order to get that, and a lot of that comes from just not having competitive experience yet. They've got 3 games now. There's a progression in each of these games, but they need more before they feel comfortable with what they're doing, and also just with the opposition. Right now, it's a whole bunch of firsts. It's the first time we faced this game or this team in competitive play. It's the first time we faced this game in competitive play. They're now going to have another first because it's now their first road trip.
Where they Toronto
and Ottawa.
Yep, Ontario.
Yeah. Before they come back to play Halifax again at Swangard.
Yeah.
So they're right now, you're going to have that for probably another month and a half, where you're going to have this series of firsts.
I mean, new team, new league, new players trying to gel together. Growing pains were expected.
Yep. But I think you have to say, like, a 3-game homestead to begin your existence. 2 wins, not bad.
Not bad at all. And the thing I noticed is the delivery on their corners is good, but just needs someone to get on them. Speaking of, turning good chances into good ones.
Yep. There is that as well. I do want to see more understanding, I would say, between Spencer and Holly Ward, because it was there in the first game. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the attack, is an overlapping Spencer and Ward coming in, receiving second balls and putting them in. I think those 2 are very, very dangerous, and I think you're going to see an interesting partnership on that side.
Yeah, and I mean, early days for the Vancouver Rise and the Northern Super League in general. So It's off to Toronto for the Vancouver Rise, and they'll play AFC Toronto, and after that, it's Ottawa Rapid. So 2 away games for the Rise. May 11th is the next Rise game. So this Sunday.
Toronto hasn't had the best of starts. They're at a win and 2 losses right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to want to show their home fans.
Yeah. All right, back to MLS, and 2 teams are still winless. CF Montreal and the defending champion LA Galaxy. I don't even know who wins the game first at this point. Montreal lost 2-1 at home to the Philadelphia Union, and LA Galaxy pulled off like I can't believe they pulled this off.
Yeah,
1-0 loss to Sporting Kansas City in Kansas City, and Sporting Kansas City did not have a single shot, but their goal was an own goal from Maya Yoshida. Like what the hell? How does this happen?
Not only that, but Galaxy had a 72% possession throughout
One
the match.
shot on target. That's it.
Was, yeah, I mean, it was a one-sided, tilted pitch, but there's nothing finishing on the side. The Galaxy have the worst goals against in the Western Conference. There's a couple of teams in the East, I think, that are even worse than them, but not by much. But in the Western Conference, and the thing is the Western Conference, you should be able to argue, is not as strong as the East.
The East is a stronger conference, and I'm just taking a look here. DC has given up 23. Chicago has given up 22. Atlanta, who having a bad start too, has given up 20 goals, and Galaxy have given up 21. So they're up there.
If you want to compare Montreal and LA Galaxy, I feel like Galaxy will, or I feel like Galaxy should
be the
earlier. I think one of the other things that is pretty damaging with the SKC game is I think it was both Pex and Paintsel went off injured.
Yeah, so that's just another kick in the teeth for Galaxy fans.
Yeah. So if you want any sort of attacking threat, those are 2 big guys that are going to do it. The only difference is on Montreal, Owusu.
Gabe Clark.
He's not the guy.
Yeah, I mean, Owusu. If Owusu was on the Whitecaps, for example, he'd be like the deaf guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's I mean, he did well in Toronto, but I don't know if he's like a everyday.
Well, Toronto is another team we can talk about too.
And more than soon. But I mean, Galaxy, it just hurts to watch these guys. Same with Montreal. And we did expect Galaxy to regress a little bit, given that Ricky Puig is still out till July. And, they've had a lot of injuries. But no one expected them to be this bad. Nobody.
No, I don't think anyone did at all. But
I mean, sure, they'll still try to beef up in the summer, but by that point, it's too little, too late.
Done, yeah.
I mean, 0 wins, and it's May for both sides. I mean, Montreal is just, they fired their coach. They have an interim. We talked about their problems and how they aren't spending on DPs. And, I mean, Montreal can't really score, and at times they can't defend. I mean, It's just a team that lacks an identity. I guess same could be said for Galaxy, too.
I feel like Galaxy is further along in their progression, though.
Yeah, because
my one thing is with Galaxy, and I hopped on with the Nags boys on the weekend on their podcast. I just was watching and kind of throwing out a few comments. So shout out to Edgar and Brant and all the boys out there.
Oh yeah, sorry guys, we're so sorry. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. But one of the questions that someone threw out is how much longer does Greg Vanney survive in this?
That's what I'm wondering too.
They've got a game against LAFC coming up in their near future, and you got to wonder if that might be one that's circled on the calendar. If there are no wins heading into that game, and then you lose, El Tráfico, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good benchmark,
right?
And yeah, LA Galaxy, I mean, the worst defending champion in MLS. This is not a hangover anymore. This is like,
yeah, this isn't Seattle anymore, right? Where Seattle used to have these hangovers. It would take them a bit, and then they come back and somehow still make the playoffs,
yeah,
right?
this ain't no hangover. This is I ruined my life from drinking all night, and I can't recover.
And I also can't
This is
recall how I did it. How did I get here?
yeah, and I think Galaxy might be some of the worst defending champion in all of sport, or one of the worst defending champions you'll ever see in all of sports.
Someone will write it.
Yeah, and that's a good feature article idea. Worst defending champions in sports.
Yeah.
The current Galaxy have to be on there. So
one thing is, and I'll say this right now, is it doesn't feel like the fans have turned on the team.
I think everyone's just in disbelief.
I think that's it too. It's
Montreal. The fans have turned on the team.
Toronto. The fans
oh yeah,
Toronto.
Let's
talk about Toronto. That's a good segue.
So I am not really too aware of this, but the MLSE CEOs I'm seeing here, Keith Pelly pens a message to Toronto FC fans who are just not happy.
Yep.
And
this is in response to banners that were at the last TFC match. One, this badge don't belong to you. So grammatical issues aside, we can forgive that. And another one that, I don't know, it's not the best organized banner. Accept existence or expect resistance. Stewards came into the stands, confiscated the banners, and the supporters walked out.
Can't blame them. I mean, how are you're preventing them from
in this section, right? Now you're right. A letter by Keith Pelly was penned to fans saying, "Yes, we understand your frustrations. We want to restore the club and all that stuff." I don't think that's enough.
And he says, we're planning to go on a full rebuild and all that, but I'm not really seeing that, you know? I'm not seeing a rebuild is supposed to give hope, like for the future. I don't see that in Toronto.
This letter had to do one thing before it could do anything else. Be an apology. Not once throughout this entire thing is there an apology.
Nope, not.
Everything else, fine. That's great. Yes, like we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. Fine. But that's the stuff you say after you say, "I'm sorry." You don't get to do that. So, I mean, I get it. You know, the West Coast, Ontario banter, it happens a lot. But you got to feel for TFC fans. This sucks. And one of the villains right now is your own ownership.
Yeah, the GM and MLSE also, deserves to take some flack. It's just Toronto FC never really recovered after the Javinko Altidore era ended.
No, they went out and bought two big names that just.
I mean, Lorenzo Insigne has just been a $15 million anchor.
Yeah.
At least Bernardeschi, he's like a small beacon of like good right now.
There are moments. I think he gets down by Insigne.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of your DPs drags down the other. I think your other one could be a whole lot better on his own. But yeah, they just like, what do you do? Like, he's got a year after this on his contract. I
believe so, but
do you just buy him out? Like, I know that is a hard pill to swallow, but do you want to go through another year of this?
I mean, remember they were talking about, Insigne could leave for Europe in the winter.
I
trying to get rid of him.
Wished, but no one's going to want that. And Insigne, I mean, he's laughing all the way to the bank. He basically can do absolutely nothing and get paid.
Yeah, and this season has just been another disaster. There's been injuries. They've only had one win, and that was an away win. I mean, the attendance, it's still there. There's still support, but it's really starting to dwindle in BMO Field. And their last match was a 2-0 loss at home to New England
You go online right
Revelation.
now, you can find people selling their home tickets for TFC for like $20.
Yeah, I mean,
And the fun and the sad thing is there's no takers.
yeah, I mean, if you're in Toronto and you're a sports fan, you're going to watch the Leafs in the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
Or the Blue Jays right now,
yeah.
not TFC who are near the bottom of the
Or you'll
Eastern
take a
Conference.
trip out and go watch, I don't know, York, right?
Yeah, or go to Hamilton and watch Forge if you want to watch good
AFC
football.
Toronto.
And AFC Toronto. It's just TFC. I mean, have really fallen off a cliff and still haven't recovered.
They're still falling. They haven't
Oh
hit the
yeah,
bottom yet. And that's the
no,
sad thing is that it feels like they should have a while ago.
yeah, and hey, the Apple. We talked about how the Apple TV deal hurts the casuals here in Vancouver. It's hurting the casuals there in Toronto too,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
because a lot of casuals hopped on when TFC were good
Yeah. You
because the
know
games
what?
were
That's
always on TV.
understandable.
So yeah, I'm just reading here, Toronto FC fans. Yeah, there are a lot of like season ticket holders and all that just responding to that letter with basically saying "f you."
Yeah.
I can't blame them.
Because it didn't do the one thing it had to.
Had to do. Yeah.
Right. And don't get me wrong, even if you went out and started with, I'm sorry, or we apologize. Now here's what we're going to do. You're still going to get people saying F you and all that stuff. But you're also going to get a few people who are like, okay, maybe there's some truth behind this. At least you did that.
But you're still going to say, people say, okay, you said something, now do it.
Yeah.
Now
right?
rebuild.
Oh, no, you got to follow it with action. But you got to admit it first.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we slander TFC a lot, like Canadian rivalry, East Coast, West Coast, that, but you got to admit it's a bit sad, even for the biggest
Yeah.
TFC hater, especially
Yeah.
considering how good they were. Like, this was one of the best MLS teams ever in 2017.
Yeah.
And they've fallen off a huge, huge cliff. So, more MLS news. So Inter Miami has relinquished the discovery rights, which is, you and I talked about how dumb it is. So they're not going after Kevin De Bruyne, and the front runner right now is Chicago Fire.
Yeah, I was reading an article on BBC about De Bruyne and kind of what his options are. Chicago seems to be the biggest option right now. He has publicly ruled out Saudi Arabia for personal family reasons, lifestyle
Good on him.
reasons, obviously. He's not going back to Man City.
No,
There's
he's
not
leaving
going to
Man
be any
City.
turnaround there.
It's not
It
staying
kind
in
of
England.
seems like it's
Looks like.
MLS or retire.
Yeah, it feels like MLS, but which team?
Yeah, right. And if it's, Chicago do have pockets, right? They do have pockets.
Kind of fallen off in recent games, but I remember talking to Simon Fudge after they were here, like, yeah, this is a team that could make the playoffs and surprise people.
Yeah.
Hey, if they had De Bruyne, they could be even better.
My only question is how much can De Bruyne play?
Yeah.
He's not a 90-minute guy. Not anymore.
Not anymore. I mean, he's there. We still see the flashes of talent, but his legs. I mean, he's coming off with a major injury.
Yeah, he's dealt with some quite significant injuries over the years, so it'll be interesting to see, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's also rumors that De Bruyne could go back to Chelsea, but I doubt that's happening. No. I'm pretty sure it's MLS or retire.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I bet you there are some Premier League clubs that are considering him, but I can't see it being Chelsea.
No. Because, Chelsea signed young players only.
Well, yeah, you're not going to want to sign De Bruyne to a 17-year contract.
Yeah. And
that's the Chelsea way.
That's the Chelsea way. And LAFC and Club America are going to play a playoff game for the final Club World Cup spot that Lyon have pretty much been banished due to, coexisting ownerships and all that. And this is for a final spot that is in a group with Chelsea. So these two teams are invited because, it's CONCACAF and FIFA doing what they want.
Yeah.
Because, that FIFA just randomly invited Inter Miami. Just because.
Yeah. Sure. Like,
Okay.
are any of us surprised?
No, but it's like, oh, of course.
Yeah. So sure, do your little thing.
Yeah, and this is gonna be, I believe, Group D. Yeah, with Flamengo, Chelsea, and the Turkish club Tunis.
There you go.
All right, back to Canada. Can Champ. Vancouver FC, not only did they get their first win of the CPL season against Valor over the weekend, they also advanced in the Canadian Championship for the first time ever with a win on penalties at Starlight Stadium over Pacific. I mean, all goals in this game were set pieces.
Yeah.
Alejandro Diaz with the penalty in the 34th minute, and Ali Ndam, sneaky free kick that just beat Callum Irving in the wall. Sneaky. I am
Good on Vancouver. They had a good week.
Yeah,
They'll
and
have a second good week, right? Like you did it once. It's not done yet. So good on you.
yeah, and Callum Irving came up big in the shootout. Everyone except Vasco Fry in the shootout beat Max Anchor.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of Vancouver Whitecaps connections
Very much
for
so.
obvious
You got
reasons.
well, two names right there you mentioned.
Yeah, in this game, the CLC Derby. So Vancouver FC are moving on in the Canadian Championship, and also York handily defeated Laval 3-0.
That's what you should expect.
Yeah.
I mean, good on Laval being a part of the tournament. I think it's great that League One teams throughout the country are a part of that, but your expectation is that a CPL team will win.
Yeah, and there's 2 more games today.
Oh, we will find out tonight. TSS Rovers Valor, the rematch.
Yeah, TSS Rovers beat Valor a couple years ago, but that was at Swangard. This one is in Winnipeg at Princess Auto Stadium, whatever it's called.
If I remember, I haven't seen the bracket, but the winner of that one will end up playing the Whitecaps. So you could have Whitecaps and TSS Rovers. Can you imagine the Whitecaps playing at Swangard again?
Just like the old days. Yeah, and we got also Forge and Halifax Wanderers. So
go TSS.
I
just want to see that.
Yeah, go TSS. Toronto and Montreal met in the preliminary round last week. But Montreal beat Toronto in Toronto on penalties.
Yeah.
And I think this could be the year we see a CPL team in the final. Especially considering how weak Montreal are this year. It's certainly possible we see a CPL team in the final.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And
absolutely.
This is the Whitecaps tournament to lose. And
it is. Oh, especially now? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Whitecaps B team, there's no reason why they can't win the Canadian Championship for the 4th straight year.
I don't want them to have this expectation that it's theirs. I want them to go in and take it seriously.
Yeah, they will.
But keep Isaac Boehmer. Play Isaac Boehmer. He was the player of the tournament last year. Keep him.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But I don't think the Whitecaps playing Can Champ for another few
months. They had
months.
to buy in the first round because they were the winners of last year. It's not for is that June, July?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be until after the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. So
it's not. It's after that sometime.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the bracket here. So for the next round, Vancouver FC will face Cavalry, who demolished Edmonton Scottish 6-0. And Atletico Ottawa will face York, so we got a Battle of Ontario. And CF Montreal will face the winner of Forge and Halifax Wanderers.
Yeah, now, when it comes to when the Whitecaps enter, all they're saying is that the game... Actually, no, they might play beforehand because it says that the leg will be May and then July.
Oh, right. I forgot the legs are so spread out. You forget they happen.
They are, right? Yeah. But they don't have actual dates because, I mean, obviously it would matter on, like, who they're playing, where you can fit the game. So, and I believe Vancouver Whitecaps would have the home leg in the first leg, or the home match in the first leg.
Yeah, and if all goes to plan, if Vancouver beats their next opponent, the Vancouver Whitecaps rather, and Vancouver FC beat Cavalry, we can get a Lower Mainland derby in the semis.
Absolutely. Or we could have that Calvary rematch, right? So
Yeah. Let's not forget that last year the Whitecaps lost to Cavalry at home, but only advanced on penalties.
actually,
Oh no, away goals. Sorry.
after the quarterfinal, teams are redrawn.
Oh,
So the bracket could get mixed up. You could end up playing someone in the East in the semifinal.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, that
I'm
just
looking at
makes
the
things
bracket right now for this year on Canada Soccer's website. Teams get redrawn after the quarterfinal.
that makes a lot of sense and makes things more interesting.
That's new, I think.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a yeah. That's
So yeah,
last year. So
there
that's
you
the
go.
Canadian Championship. All right, over to Europe. So Chelsea are hitting good form at the right time, at the best possible time. First was a 4-1 win in Sweden over Djurgården in the Wi-Fi Passwords League, the Conference League. So Jadon Sancho again, ever since the Man United back to Man United rumors started, he just started turning up. I guess he really doesn't want to go back there, which I can't blame the guy. Scores in the 12th minute. Nani Mezweki also got on the board in the 43rd minute, and Nicholas Jackson 2 goals in the second half. If this guy, maybe he should learn to shoot on the one time because you can do it. You did it against Djurgården. And are up 4-1 on aggregate and the second leg at Stamford Bridges today, just like an hour from now at the time we're recording this. But on the weekend, this was a big match. 3-1 win over Liverpool, who just won the Premier League title. Surprisingly, they played a stronger lineup. Mo Salah started, Virgil van Dijk started, Alisson started, and Trent Alexander started. Alexander-Arnold started. But after Chelsea gave the guard of honor, Enzo Fernandez scored 3 minutes in. Pedro Neto found him in a pocket of space. Beautiful strike to beat Alisson. I saw a stat that's like 7 goals and 13 assists in all competitions for Enzo Fernandez.
Oh wow!
Very, very much improved compared to last year and early in the season. I think that's like double from what he had last year. And then just after halftime, Cole Palmer tries to run into the box, tries to play it in, but Kwanzaa deflects it into his own net. Cole Palmer had one of his best games in a long time because he was all over the place. I mean, things got scary later when Virgil van Dijk, because of course he did, scored off the corner kick with his head. But I don't know what Dominic Szoboszlai was thinking with this back pass to Kwanzaa. It just missed Kwanzaa, and then Kwanzaa just, took out Moises Caicedo in the box. The ball was nowhere near him. And Cole Palmer steps up and scores his first goal since January. You can see the weight off his shoulders. Like, finally, he scores. And he was talking about it after the match, and he was like, yeah, droughts, blank happens. Yes, he actually said that, by the way, and he said, oh, sorry. This guy's just
Whatever.
Unintentionally funny. And he said, yeah, I don't, listen to the internet trolls and everything. But it's just good to see him score again, even though it's from the penalty spot. And, they're hitting the form at the right time, getting healthy at the right time, so Champions League is still possible. Nani Madueke. This guy needs to play on the left more because he just balled out in the last few games. He cooked Trent Alexander-Arnold, and as a result, Trent Alexander-Arnold is officially off to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, it's been on the works for a while, but still.
Yeah.
And then Caicedo at right back, once again, no problem. He is Chelsea's Player of the Year, well-deserved. Cole Palmer and pretty much all the players, I even said, yeah, by far the Player of the Year. And then Romeo Lavia, please stay healthy again. Balling out in the midfield, just with his long passes, with his defensive awareness. Kind of looking like a prime Busquets in some way. So, Moises Caicedo, I mean, Chelsea have been blessed with defensive midfielders over the years. First was Makalele, and then it's Conte, and now Caicedo.
Yeah.
So, just Chelsea have been blessed with world-class midfielders. And Moises Caicedo is a world-class midfielder, and I don't care what anyone else says. So Jagarden today, second leg. And then another big game on the weekend. Newcastle away. St. James's Park. They're level on points, 63 points. Must win. Liverpool was must win. This is must win. But this is going to be tough because Chelsea, I don't think they've won at St. James's Park since 2021. And this is always a bogey ground.
Yeah.
And Newcastle, good team.
Yep.
The Geordies have been doing pretty well. And I'm just taking a look here what they have been up to. So Newcastle, they beat Ipswich 3-0 and drew to Brighton 1-1 the last couple of games. So must win. Don't care how. Don't care by how much. Must win at all costs for any hope for top 5. So at least Tottenham didn't lose a game this weekend. So that's kind of a nice change of pace for you.
Yeah, so we'll start with Europa League semifinal, first match at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think I had it wrong last time. I think I had said it was going to be at Bodo Glimt Stadium, but that's where they'll be playing tomorrow. So 3-1 win over Bodo Glimt. This was the Tottenham team that we want to see. It was good football. It was counterattack. Like Bodo Glimt actually had the majority of possession of the ball, but they weren't the ones doing anything with it. They only had 3 shots, 1 on target all game, compared to the Spurs, who had 24 shots and 7 on target. It was very much their game. It was a workman's game. It was just come to the office, get the job done, go home, right? Not try to do anything flashy, not try to do anything special. Really, really well taken. Goals from started right away with Madison, 38 seconds into the game, I believe. Very first attack. Madison in the first half, and then Solanke added a penalty in the second half. 3-1 going into tomorrow. Should feel good. Tomorrow's game is going to be interesting, though. Artificial pitch, north of the Arctic Circle, I believe.
Yep.
So a bit of a different scenario for Spurs. I think it'll be great. I think it'll be an interesting one. And Bodo Glimt, don't write them out. Don't write them out.
Yep.
A good team in Norway's Eliteserien. So looking forward to that one. On the weekend, West Ham. I mean, it should be a London derby. 1-1 draw, fiddled out. Odebert with a goal. Really, the only talking point about this game is James Maddison, who unfortunately went out with a knee injury. His season is done.
Yeah.
They're saying right now 2 to 3 months. That sucks. They could have really used him with Europa League. My hope is that he is 100% and ready to go by the time next season rolls around. We'll have to wait and see. It does look like Son Heung-min will be okay, though. So he hasn't played actually since midway through April in the quarterfinal Europa League. So he should be ready to go for tomorrow's game if he ends up being called up. One interesting thing. The match versus Aston Villa has been rescheduled in preparation for Europa final, I believe.
Europa League final, yeah.
Which is really weird because they haven't qualified for it yet. So I'm hoping that this isn't the league and Spurs and everyone kind of putting their eggs all in one basket, and then it comes to no fruition. No, Aston Villa has complained. They're saying there shouldn't be preferential treatment. They want their game when it is, but it's already happened. Spurs wanted it moved to the Thursday. It's been moved to the Friday, so it got moved 2 days instead of 3 days. And I don't know, Aston Villa. If a team's in Europe, games get moved.
That's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is. Sure, you can complain, but you just kind of look like petulant children. So that's my thing. There is a sliver of good news, and this kind of came out of left field. Fabio Paratici, former sporting director for Spurs, who ended up having to serve a FIFA global ban because of his involvement, I believe, with the stuff that was going on with Juventus from years ago.
Yeah, it was.
It was Juventus, yeah. Ban is done. It looks like he will be rejoining Spurs. And
Could be a
he was the
deciding
guy
factor.
that was bringing in a
Manager.
lot of these phenomenal players back when he was working. Even I think he was working with Poch.
Yep.
Right. So my hope that this is step one, and it does sound like he will have a very big say on who the manager is next season, whether that's Postecoglou or someone else. Don't know, but he will have a very big say, and I am all for it. I want Paratici back. I'm very happy with this news. It's not 100% done yet, but it looks like it's just a matter of moving the right pieces in the right order. Should be happening.
All right, that's something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so was that the greatest Champions League match of all time? The greatest tie of all time? It has to be. I mean, that was just
If you're a neutral.
That was absolute cinema. Like that was one of the greatest, not just football, but greatest sports games I have ever seen in my life. I mean, just back and forth action. Like it was just epic. 7-6 on aggregate between Inter Milan and Barcelona, 4-3 in leg 2. Inter Milan are in the Champions League final for the second time in 3 years. They ended up blowing a 2-0 lead again. Managed to look good defensively at times and managed to score goals as well. David Vertizzi with the 99th minute winner in stoppage time. Just epic celebration too. Like him,
and not only that, but to do it right after was it Barcelona had a goal in the 87th?
Yeah, with Rafinha. Huh?
Yeah. For me, I don't think I've seen anything as good as that. I cannot. The only one I can remember is semifinal Champions League Spurs when Lucas Moura came out of nowhere with his hat trick.
Yeah. This felt like a Champions League final.
Yeah.
It just, no matter what happens in the final, this was like the true final. And Jan Sommer, not for him, Barcelona would have gone through. Funny,
you got to think like they sell Onana
for 60 million,
and they picked up some. Like it was like 5.
5. Good business.
Wow.
And Lamine Yamal for Barcelona didn't score or didn't have an assist, but was by far their best player.
Yeah,
just all over the place. And
this is
Sommer was the one
very smart player.
Yeah,
and like I said, we talked about it before. Like I said, get an experienced player to put an arm around his shoulder to keep his head level.
Rafinha is that guy.
Do it. Right? Make them be roommates when they do away matches or something like that. Just, he's got the skill on the pitch. Make him a good person off the pitch, right? Because I just don't want the player to be. I don't want the player's persona to be ruined by the potential of who the person could become.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I feel like Rafinha.
Yeah,
is that guy. And hey, Barcelona had a chance to tie the game in extra time, but Lewandowski, he usually scores this, but he headed it over the bar.
I know. Yeah.
I guess, Father Time.
I couldn't watch the last few minutes of extra time. I had to go pick up my daughter from school, but I was I kept updating my app to just see at least the final. So it was nice.
Oh, man, I'm still not over that. Just
good on Inter Milan, right?
In the final again. I mean, Inter Milan doing well in Serie A, 3 points behind Napoli.
Yeah,
for the title, and the end Barcelona's treble hopes. And Barcelona have not been in the Champions League final in a decade, which is crazy to think about.
Wow. Okay, I never really thought about that. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's last time was 2015 when they won it, and I mean, you got guys for Barcelona stepping up like Eric Garcia, and then you get Acerbi also, who pretty much tied the game. Late in stoppage time.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but Denzel Dumfries just turned into like prime Roberto Carlos or whatever in these two 2 games.
Yeah. I saw
2
more
assists.
than a few memes of Dumfries as if he was just staring down the other side.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of any of these teams, man, hope you recovered or probably still recovering. But just imagine being there as a fan, as staff, or as media. I mean, the San Siro sounded incredible on TV.
Yeah.
So
It's
an
weird to
all-time
think
classic.
that the San Siro is not going to be around much longer.
Yeah, it's an old barn, it's an
Yeah,
old
it
ground.
is. It is.
But hosted some incredible Champions League nights. I don't think anything will top that one.
Yeah, it's got to be up there.
That was amazing. So the last thing here, the first batch of the World Cup tickets for next year are now on sale. Hospitality seats and top price, like, oh my god.
Yeah. So the regular tickets are going to be priced and released later on in the year, but for these hospitality suites, the top end, the top end, and this is going to make you sick, is 73,200 American.
Oh my god! Like, oh my god!
Yeah.
Only the 1% can afford that.
Oh, it's like the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah,
it's not me. Let me put it that way. It's not
definitely
me.
not me either. Wish it was at times, but it's definitely not me.
Yeah. So on that note, now that we've made you throw up in your mouth.
Yeah. Oh, like, I can't believe that.
Yeah,
I get it. That is just astonishing. Yeah. So we'll end it on that note. So hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you're tuning in live from the Area 51 Facebook, Area 51 Twitter /X, or Terminal City FC YouTube channel, thank you for tuning in if you're listening on the podcast platform. So we'll be back next week talking all things Whitecaps and football. Champions League semifinal, the second one between PSG and Arsenal, is also today, just an hour, less than an hour from now as we're recording this. So we'll have the Champions League final set. So it'll be Inter Milan versus PSG or Arsenal from Munich. So follow me on Twitter, JoshRay00, Nathan and Enduric, podcast at Terminal WC FC. Search up Terminal City FC podcast on Instagram and YouTube. Posting there. Check out all our articles for Area 51 Sports Network. Check out the Stanley Cup playoff and junior hockey articles, also for Area 51 Sports Network. So a lot of stuff is happening around the network and with this podcast. So, and hopefully the Whitecaps keep on winning. Mm-hmm. And our numbers have really increased for this podcast. Last one I think might have been our biggest one ever. I need to double check. So thank you for all your support.
We appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. So that'll conclude this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.